Okay, so I think it's time we have a conversation about Sam Darnold.
Hey, everybody. The Seattle Seahawks have entered the chat.
I see Seattle. I see a lot of talent. I see a Super Bowl capable team.
He's near the top of the league in touchdowns and passer rating. And for the first time in his career, he looks like he found a home.
Darnold, here comes Diaby, and downfield caught. Touchdown!
And holding one down the middle. And Smith has it. Touchdown Seahawks.
But how do we get here? Well, we have to go back to last year. Back to when Seattle was still trying to figure out who they were. Because before Sam Darnold ever put on a Seahawks jersey, Seattle already had its redemption story.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though. That's the problem. I ain't right back. Let's go.
Still a home run hitter. Smith showing the wheels. Smith still going. Geno in. Touchdown.
Geno Smith had done the impossible. He turned years of being labeled a backup into one of the best comeback stories in the league. He was steady, accurate, and poised. He reminded Seahawks fans that second chances can work. And for a while, he looked like the answer.
There is not a quarterback in the NFL that has more perfect throws in every single game than Geno Smith. That's just the God's honest truth.
I think Geno Smith is one of the most underrated players in football.
But as the 2024 season went on, something changed. The Seahawks, they were good, but not great. The magic that once made Geno unstoppable started to fade. The offense stalled and the turnovers crept back in.
For Seattle from its own 30. Geno Smith play action. He twirls and runs out to the right. Throws to the right, and he threw it right to Dallas Turner. And the rookie with his first interception has turned.
Ultimately, when the season ended, the front office was faced with a choice. Run it back or move forward.
You are the Seahawks. You're about $27 million over the cap right now. But if Geno wants a raise and DK wants a raise, can you bring them both back? Do you bring both back? Do you bring neither back?
You know, like whether people like it or not, like you are starting to figure out and have the conversation of what is life after Geno Smith, whether that's in a year or two.
How do you set yourself up for that next world beyond Geno if he's probably going to win you 9 or 10 games again next year and the year potentially after that, and either get to the Detroits, Baltimores, Buffaloes, Phillies, or get away from them so that you can find a quarterback to get back to that tier?
Breaking news right now, and no, this is not a drill. Just moments ago, the Seattle Seahawks have agreed to terms with the Las Vegas Raiders on a blockbuster trade, sending their starting quarterback Geno Smith, a two-time Pro Bowler, to Las Vegas in exchange for a 2025 third-round pick.
That's when a familiar name started popping up in free agency conversations. One that made people do a double take.
Sam Darnold signs a 3-year deal worth close to $100 million.
Sam Darnold. The reaction was mixed. The signing didn't shake the league. It wasn't a blockbuster or anything like that. And to most analysts, it looked like a backup plan. A bridge deal for a team that might draft its future quarterback next spring.
Where I'm skeptical, however, is as good as Sam Darnold was last year, you saw he is what I call a pressure-sensitive quarterback.
This is a little puzzling to me. I think they pretty clearly just got worse at quarterback. It feels to me like this is a mistake teams make a little too often, which is falling in love with a guy who had a great game against you.
But for Darnold, this wasn't just another opportunity. It was one last chance to prove that he was never the problem. So from the first snap of the season, it felt different.
Yo, if you don't shut your mouth, I'ma shut it for you, punk.
Darnold pokes one. Smith and Jigma's loose. Jackson Smith and Jigma gets behind the rookie Upton Stout for 22.
And even in moments that didn't go Seattle's way, Darnold kept showing flashes of something we only saw last year: consistency. For instance, like in Week 5 against Tampa Bay, a shootout that ended in a loss, yeah, but Darnold was electric.
With a line drive, caught, touchdown! First and goal, caught at the 3, touchdown! Garner sheds Levante David.
He completed 28 of 34 passes for 341 yards and 4 touchdowns. Even in defeat, he earned one of the highest quarterback grades of the week. Seattle, they might have lost 38-35, but for anybody watching, the takeaway was clear. This wasn't just a hot start. It was real. Sam Darnold was real.
Welcome to week 6 of the National Football League season, and here in Jacksonville, it's going to be close to 80 degrees and humid. Should be a good game today.
And folding one down the middle. And Smith-Njigba has it. Touchdown Seahawks.
Then another one.
The bright lights of the NFL are shining on Seattle and Lumen Field tonight.
The way the offense is playing in this environment could be trouble. And right for the end zone. And scoring. And dunking is Jackson Smith-Njigba.
And another win. Then came week 9 against the Washington Commanders. And that's when everything just clicked.
With the bye week in the rearview mirror, it is time to focus on the stretch run.
And Darnold, throw it, end zone, touchdown, Corey Horton.
In the first half alone, Darnold was perfect, literally. 16 completions on 16 attempts, 282 yards, 4 touchdowns, all in the first half. A perfect passer rating, a performance that had fans, analysts, and even his teammates shaking their heads in disbelief. Seattle's gamble, it didn't just work, it changed everything.
This Seahawks team is a problem. Across the board.
They're wagging, dude.
Sam Darnold, this guy was let out of the building, obviously, in Minnesota. What a move for them, and they're special.
Sam's slinging it, and it looks like this is a perfect spot for him. He's up there in Seattle.
But here's the thing. This version of Sam Darnold doesn't exist without Minnesota. That's where the resurrection actually began. Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. All right, so I know this channel usually talks about football, but I've got to take a second out for my basketball fans because the NBA is heating up right now. Every game feels like something wild's about to happen, and if you've been thinking about getting into the action, this is the perfect time to do it. I've partnered with DraftKings Sportsbook, and they've got an awesome deal going on. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 of bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass on us. So you can follow every dunk, every buzzer beater, and every comeback, and actually have something riding on it too. You can throw those bonus bets into same game parlays for a shot at bigger payouts, or try live betting to jump in as the game unfolds. And even if sports betting isn't available where you're at, you can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and compete for cash prizes. So go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up, and don't forget to use my promo code ANOTHERSPORTS. Once again, new customers bet $5, get $300 of bonus bets if your bet wins, and get 3 months of NBA League Pass on us. Thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring this video, and the crown is yours.
Breaking news from the NFL. Just after midnight, we learned the Vikings are expected to sign former first-round draft pick quarterback Sam Darnold.
It comes about 15 hours after news broke about Kirk Cousins leaving Minnesota to join the Atlanta Falcons.
After failed stints with the Jets, Panthers, and a brief backup run with the 49ers, Darnold hit free agency with little fanfare. His name had become synonymous with unmet expectations. The former number 3 overall pick, now a journeyman quarterback. And then came the Vikings. They had just lost Kirk Cousins and needed a veteran presence for newly drafted J.J. McCarthy. But after a season-ending injury during preseason for J.J., Minnesota gave Darnold something he hadn't had in years: belief. And Darnold? Yeah, he rewarded them with one of the most efficient seasons of his career.
Darnold again with time, into the end zone, caught, touchdown! Darnold, pump fake, throws, end zone, touchdown!
He didn't light up the stat sheet every week, but he stabilized a franchise that could have easily fallen apart. He showed leadership, poise, and flashes of the player scouts once fell in love with at USC. And more importantly, he rediscovered his confidence.
This Vikings team is healthy, they're scoring. Of course, it's as well-rounded a group as there is in the league.
How good are these Vikings? How far can they go? Folks starting to dream around here. This could be a special season.
By the time the season ended, the narrative around Sam Darnold had shifted from bust to amazing comeback story. And when Seattle came calling in the offseason, he was ready. Not just to compete, though, but to lead.
I mean, there's no greater example of where you land matters than Sam Darnold. USC, Jets, Carolina, especially Jets in Carolina, they asked him at a very young age, carry the franchise. The last 2 stops, good coaches, good roster, suddenly he's elite. And oh yeah, he's elite.
This Sam Darnold story, it isn't supposed to happen. Quarterbacks who get labeled bust don't usually make it this far. They don't lead playoff teams. They don't get mentioned in MVP conversations. But here we are. The same player who was mocked for seeing ghosts in New York, who bounced from team to team trying to stay in the league, is now the quarterback of one of the best teams in football. He doesn't panic. He doesn't force it. He just plays. And maybe that's the lesson here. Because what Sam Darnold is proving is that the line between failure and redemption is thinner than we actually think. Sometimes it just takes the right moment to cross it.